open the pod bay doors.
Greetings and welcome to another exciting episode of the Cinematic Traveler Podcast. I am your intrepid movie-exploring host, Chris, and it is that time of the week once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, for our streaming surprise episode. And for me, this is a bit of a surprise because I actually have a new release to a streaming service to talk about, this one being called Dear Santa, released on Paramount Plus on the 25th. It is directed by Bobby Farrelly and stars Jack Black. Now, before I dive into the episode, let's go ahead and get the word from our sponsor of the show out of the way. Of course, the sponsor of this podcast is yours truly. And if you could do me a favor, whatever you're listening to this podcast on, if you could please follow, subscribe, give me a nice review, that would be amazing. It does help the show. It helps me make a better show as well as get the show out there to more listeners. You can also follow me on Instagram at Cinematic Traveler Pod. That way you can get in touch with me about our contest that I will get into shortly. But there, I got through that quick, fast, and in a hurry so we could dive into this episode. I hope you all are doing wonderful. If you are in the United States of America, we are rushing into Thanksgiving, so we will get a little time off of work, which is always a wonderful thing. And I might get this episode out a little bit earlier. There'd be something for you to listen to on your drive over to your family. I know you're dreading it and you don't want to hear about politics or anything, but now you have something to talk to them about this movie and this great movie review podcast that you have discovered. Please spread the word, even to the people that you don't like, that you don't agree with them politically or anything like that. Just, you can punish them by making them listen to me. I don't care. I'll take anything right now. But I am excited to be here to help you out, pass a few minutes of your time, and I do appreciate you being here. Let's see, is there anything else I want to tell you? I will let you know I am working on the sound quality. I think it's been okay so far, but I have discovered another service that I'm going to try. So I may play with it this weekend and then take a look at the website about this new service.
That's the joke.
But that is a brief behind-the-scenes look at the Cinematic Traveler Podcast. Let's go ahead and dive into this review because that's what you're here for, right? Right. Now, before I dive into my plot synopsis, I will tell you it's going to be spoiler-free, as well as my review will be spoiler-free, or at least as spoiler-free as possible. But continuing on with our little contest here, I have hidden two movie quotes that are sort of related to this movie, or at least maybe in the Christmas family genre. I don't know. The one isn't, but it is a Christmassy type quote. Anyway, I've hidden two of them in there. So if you can get them, reach out to me on Instagram, DM me, let me know what the quotes are, and you will get a point for each one that you get right. This is the last episode of November, so I will add up all of the people who have participated and find out who the winner is. And that winner will get to select a movie for me to review in the future. If you are hearing this before the end of the month, you still have time. You can go back and listen to previous episodes and listen to the plot descriptions at least and get the movie quotes and catch up. But there are those out there that have a commanding lead right now. But everything starts all over again at the beginning of December, so never fear. I think maybe I have over-explained that enough. So let me tell you all about Dear Santa. As I mentioned, it is directed by Bobby Farrelly. I think that's how you say the last name. You know the Farrelly brothers, as I mentioned. They've done so many classic comedies over the years, and we all have our favorite. Like I said, me, myself, and Irene, I think is absolutely hilarious, but, you know, something about Mary, Dumb and Dumber. It goes on and on and on. So I was kind of excited about this movie because they have a track record of doing some really fun, albeit gross out humor from time to time. I thought this might be a little bit of a fun break from other Christmas movies that we always get. But in Dear Santa, we meet young Liam, played by Robert Timothy Smith, and he is a sixth grader who has recently changed schools, so he's dealing with being the new kid, as well as dealing with his parents who have been fighting constantly, especially since a recent family tragedy has occurred. That's what's caused them to move. Now, Liam is trying his best to put on a brave face, especially for his mom now that it's around Christmas. So he's kind of going along with some things that maybe he's a little bit too old for. One of these things is writing a letter to Santa. Now, Liam has a learning disorder entitled dyslexia, where he gets some of the letters mixed up, which the movie needs him to have, at some points, and then other points he doesn't have it. Oh Lord, these writers. Anyway, I'll get to that later. So he misspells Santa and puts the wrong name on the envelope. I think you can see where this is going. But one night, Liam awakes to find a bearded, chubby man in his room. Now, who on earth could this man be?
Who was it? Who could it possibly be? Was it, oh, I don't know, Satan?
Yes, in fact, it is Satan, played by Jack Black. And he offers young Liam three wishes. Now, Liam, he is a pretty smart kid, and he tells Satan, "You sit on a throne of lies," and wants to know what the catch is to these three wishes. Well, in exchange for the three wishes, Satan gets Liam's soul. Liam is a good kid and he tries to be nice and he tries to do the right thing. So he is a bit reluctant to agree to these terms, but finally he does, and he starts with a wish where he gets his school crush to like him. They end up going to a Post Malone concert and he wins her over. He also does a couple of other things with his wishes that are selfless and full of kindness and Christmassy stuff like that. Now, will Liam's kindness and selflessness and Christmas spirit break this deal with Satan? Or will he spend eternity burning in a lake of fire? Well, I won't spoil any of that, but I will tell you water is wet, the sky is blue, and old Satan Claus, Jimmy, he's out there and he's just getting stronger. Almost as strong as the review I'm going to put in for you for Dear Santa. Now, for any of the new listeners out there, I do break my reviews down into three segments: the good, the bad, and the nitpicky. The good is the stuff I like about the movie. The bad, obviously, stuff that I don't like about the movie. And the nitpicky. These are things that are neither good nor bad, just things I see in movies that make me laugh. Could be Hollywoodisms or just little weird things they do in movie that they catch my attention. And I'm going to try to make you laugh, because if there's anything I like to do in this world, that is to make people laugh. And I'm trying so hard with this podcast, and hopefully I am succeeding. You can let me know. You can leave a review and tell me if I am succeeding at all. So anyway, let's move on into the good of Dear Santa. First off, and this is a very personal thing, I can understand where people will be turned off by this, but that's Jack Black. I am a Jack Black fan. I understand exactly why people aren't. I get it. And I will let you know, for those of you who do not like him, this is like Jack Black times 10 in this movie, because he's, God bless him, he's trying to carry this movie and make it more fun than it has any right to be. But I enjoy his sense of humor and his goofiness, and he's really playing it up here. He's almost got like a Beetlejuice vibe. He's actually doing like it reminded me of Beetlejuice voice, but he's kind of just comes into the movie and it sort of picks up when he's in the movie and you're having fun with it, and then when he goes away, which we'll get to later, it kind of drops off. But he has a few funny lines in the movie. As I mentioned, Bobby Farrelly and his brother, they're known for comedy, so they have a few that land and some are good. There's some that aren't so funny, but I will say Jack Black, he does sort of wring the most he can out of these lines. There is a pretty funny moment where he goes to that Post Malone concert and he gets the kid VIP tickets, which, by the way, Satan, if you're listening, you can give me some VIP tickets, some backstage passes. I might go ahead and sell myself for that. But there's like a Ticketmaster joke in there that I thought was pretty funny. But anyway, I think that he does enough here, at least to bring moments in this movie that I enjoyed. Also, there's a pretty funny cameo at the end. It goes on a bit too long, but I got a good chuckle out of it because it was a couple of my favorite comedic actors, as it were. So I will give Jack Black credit in at least he is busting his ass to get some kind of laugh out of me in this movie. The only other positive I have for this film is that it's a little bit over an hour and a half long, and it does move along at a pretty good pace. So I didn't never get really bored with it per se. It just pretty much by the time you start it, it's over. You're good and you move on with your life. And I'll forget about it probably by Thanksgiving after I've had my third plate of turkey and pass out on the couch watching football. God bless America. So, shifting over to the bad, and I'm going to start with something I know I'll probably get in trouble for, and I'm not very harsh on kid actors, I'm not going to be particularly harsh on these kid actors in a personal way. I mean, they're doing their best. There are a lot of reasons why their performances are bad, but they are some really bad performances from kid actors. And I'll get to a little bit later why it really hurts the film. But boy, there are moments, and it starts early on where I was struggling. I was like, oh God, please. Please maybe let this get better when Jack Black comes in and they'll have good chemistry. And the main star, Robert Timothy Smith, again, he might be good in other things. I've seen him. He's got some other credits under his belt. He's got like that new Star Wars show that's coming out here in a couple of weeks. He's in that. But anyway, it's a struggle. And his little friend Gibby, played by Jaden Carson Baker, and then there's the crush Emma Kaya Kesh. I will say the kid that plays Gibby, his best friend, there's a thing in this movie about his teeth. And I at first, my God, I felt bad. First off, I'm not gonna lie. All right, when it first started and the kid was really acting bad, I was like, okay. And then they talk about how he has this learning disorder. So I was like, okay, I know the Farrelly brothers are pretty well known for including people, not just movie star type people. They have all kinds of people in all walks of life, and I think that's really cool that they are like that in their movies. So I thought, okay, well maybe these kids are actually, they have disorders or something like that or are handy capable, however you say it. I'm not trying to be negative though. Like they weren't acting in a weird way. How does that make sense? I know I'm digging myself a hole here, but what I'm trying to say is at first I thought, okay, that's what this is. So I kind of let up. I was like, all right, I get it. That's fine. Because like I said, his friend Gibby has a set of teeth that protrude out of his mouth. And at first I'm like, is this being played for a laugh or does this kid, this is how he really looks? So I'm kind of like, I don't know. Am I supposed to be laughing about this? Well, it turns out later on you find out that it's actually is fake teeth, that this kid does not have teeth. And I felt like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. I felt bad for the actor because then I was like, well, maybe his performance wasn't bad. It just he had these fake teeth in there. And now that I have so many people angry at me, yeah, outside of that, just their performances are not very good. And unfortunately, this movie asked them to do a lot of heavy lifting and there are some moments though I felt bad for them because they have to do dances and all kind of weird stuff. And then I thought, this is why kid actors end up on drugs and alcohol later in life because they're forced to do this shit in front of a camera. But I've went a long way around to tell you that those kids in this movie they don't really do a great job. Again, these kids could grow up and be amazing actors. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio was in Critters 3, and now he's winning Oscars, and everybody can't wait to see his movie. Hell, even Jack Black, he started off in a TV commercial when he was 13 and now he's famous. So these kids could go on and have great careers, but this movie isn't really going to be one of the ones they point back at. How about that? And I'm not deleting anything that I said earlier, so there. Another thing this movie does that really pissed me off is Keegan Michael Key is in it. He plays a child psychologist. And I used to love Key and Peele. I still do. I mean, I watch the clips from time to time on YouTube. And Keegan Michael Key is just one of them guys that can make me laugh. He's kind of like Jack Black. He just makes me laugh. I don't know what it is about him, the way he delivers lines. I don't know. He could come in here and read the directions off of my shampoo bottle and I would be on the floor rolling. But they completely waste him in this movie. I don't think he has one funny, well, there was like one funny moment and that was it. And he's in like two scenes. I'm like, you could have got anybody to do this. If you're going to bring this guy in here, give him a bigger part and let him play off of Jack Black. I don't even think they had a scene together. It would have been a lot of fun to see them bouncing off of each other comedically. Instead, they just sort of, oh, there he is, and now he's gone. Okay, so I'm gonna take some points off for this movie because it wastes a talented comedic actor, in my opinion. And my opinion is fact on this show. So, having gotten those two out of the way, the main issue with this movie is tonally, I don't know what this movie's supposed to be or who it's supposed to be for. I mentioned these kids, they're starting sixth grade, so they're like, what is that, 11, 12 years old? And they're dealing with things that you would think would be in a movie with high school kids. So it feels a bit off because you've got these little kids acting in ways that little kids wouldn't act. Actually, when I was watching, I thought it would have been more funny if the movie had been set in high school. Maybe you had like a metalhead kid who, as a joke, sends off a letter to Satan Claus instead of Santa Claus. And, next thing you know, Jack Black pops up in his room. It could have been funny. Could have taught him the meaning of Christmas. So I don't know. It would have been a little more believable in that regard as to what those kids were doing and like these kids. I mean, these kids, like I said, they're going to a concert basically by themselves. And it just gets really weird that things that they're dealing with. So that's a bit jarring, especially like I said, tonally, because then you get the goofiness of Jack Black, who is, like I said, he is going over the top. He's, like I said, he's doing everything he can to get any kind of energy into this movie. And there's supposed to be this friendship with this kid, but it, again, it feels a bit off because this kid is young. And you're kind of like, oh, this is a bit weird in one regard, but also the movie kind of herky jerks around with different plots, so that friendship never really builds up. It's like I said, it feels like this Satan, Jack Black Satan, is more like Beetlejuice. He just comes in for his funny scenes and then he leaves. So there's really no impact. So by the end, when you get sort of the sappy, happy ending, it just didn't feel very earned to me. And then when you compare that goofiness of Jack Black and that side of the story with what's going on with this kid and his parents, and the tragic when you learn what the tragedy that they've gone through is, oh dear Lord. I mean, it just takes all the wind out of your sails, and then it leads to an ending that is a bit weird and awkward, and you're like, okay, this is gonna be tough to explain, and I don't know, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, when what happens, it's supposed to be this feel good moment, but you're like, holy shit, this is gonna open up a whole can of worms. So yeah, the tone, I don't know who the movie was for as I was watching it, because for little kids, like a Christmas type of movie, it gets a little too, I don't want to say raunchy because it doesn't get that bad, but it's PG-13 and it earns its PG-13 rating. There's some stuff in there I was like, oh, I laughed because, it was geared toward a grown up, but it was also like, okay, little kids aren't going to get that. And then while there is humor there, like I said, there's a few things that made me laugh. There was one part I wish they would have followed through with this, but after Liam does basically get his soul taken, and he's like, okay, what do I do? Go to hell now? And Jack Black said, no, you're gonna live to be 70, so just go out there and be an asshole. You don't have to worry about it. You're going to hell. I thought, oh, that would have been a great movie. Just to watch this kid growing up being a complete asshole to everybody, doing whatever the hell he wants because he knows he's going to hell. That would have been funny. But anyway, so there were few moments here and there, but there's not enough that land to make it funny enough to keep me entertained as an adult, or I would think even as like a teenager or young adult. Oh, I wish I was young again. But anyway, at that age for our older kids, 13, 14, 15, I don't think they would really enjoy this. Because as I mentioned, the goofy stuff is just, it comes in and then it goes. And then you have to deal with all this other shit. And they would get bored with it. And I guess it's one of those things where you're looking at your phone and then Jack Black comes on and you look at the screen. Maybe that would work. But for me, overall, I just didn't know who the movie was for. And I think it just tonally it's all over the place, and if it would have just picked a direction, maybe it would have been a little more enjoyable. Again, I know this is on a streaming service, so I didn't have high standards. I just thought it would be something that would be kind of fun to watch for an hour and a half. That's all I asked for. And really there's parts of it where it was just laborious to get through. And again, when they hit the end, oh my god, that is just so weird, the resolution. I'm not going to recommend this movie in case you hadn't noticed. I know, spoiler alert, but I kind of want to just so someone would tell me if they felt the same way when they watched the end of the movie. So let's go ahead and slide into the nitpicking now that I've spoiled my review. But I will tell you, Liam has a cat in this movie. And this is pretty much for all you cat lovers out there. But every night when he goes to bed, he takes the cat in the room with him and he closes the door. Now, if you own a cat, you know that when you close the door, what does the cat do? It automatically goes to the door, it starts banging on the door. This might have been one of the most unbelievable things because the cat sleeps all night in his little bed. I was like, no, that cat would have. I have a cat. When I close the door, she is just banging on it, meowing, running around. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm just on the other side of the door. Leave me alone. So, yeah, I was taken out of the movie by that. That was more unbelievable than Satan appearing in someone's bedroom. My next nitpick, this is for all of you youngsters out there who are listening, especially you young men. In this movie, young Liam, he has a crush on this girl, and she doesn't like assholes. She likes nice guys. And I'm here to tell you that your crush does not like nice guys. She likes assholes, so it's best for you to become an asshole. And please don't be a nice guy. You need to get your alpha male up because, trust me, from experience, it doesn't work. That's not what they want. Hollywood has lied to you all these years. Your crush will pick the bad boy over you every fucking time. And my last nitpick for this movie, and I'll try to be a little more upbeat here, but at one point we get, of course, the Christmas tradition of the ugly sweater the ugly Christmas sweater. I don't know when this started, and I keep hoping that it's going to die out, and maybe it has. I don't know. I don't keep up on social media as much as I used to, and I don't go out in the public very often, especially around Christmas, because if there's one thing I learned from the Grinch, that during this time of the year, it's best to just hibernate in a cave, miles away from people, in silence with your pet. But yeah, ugly Christmas sweaters need to go away. That's the point of this nitpick. They need to go away. It needs to stop. I was joking. I do go into stores and I see them and I like, please, no more, no more. This trend. What do we have to do? Here, contact me and let me know. Do we have to start a petition? Do I have to get in touch with my senator, my representative, my governor? I don't know who. Just tell me who we have to talk to get rid of Christmas sweaters. Do I need to write a letter to Satan Claus to get him to go? I will wish 3 times to get rid of ugly Christmas sweaters. Please, dear God, dear Satan, whoever's out there. What is it? Dear Satan, you owe me? Yeah, so please, please, no more ugly Christmas sweaters. But to wrap all of this up, like I said, I'm not going to recommend watching this. This isn't a very good movie. I want to say I was disappointed mainly because the Farrelly brothers were attached to it. So I kind of had some expectations for this movie. Again, I mentioned it earlier. For these streaming movies, I don't hold them to these. I don't expect Citizen Kane when I'm watching these movies. I know what they are. It's just something to get some minutes watched so they can tell everybody, look, this movie did well because it got 17 billion minutes in the first week. But I kind of thought maybe it would be at least entertaining enough, like at an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half with Jack Black. I like Jack Black, that I would have been amused. It would have been fun. It had a pretty good concept. And I wish they would have picked a direction and ran with it and just let it be a goofy, silly kids movie, young teens movie where it gets a little raunchy here and there, but it's still fun. And they could have had a nice Christmas message. Instead, it's just all over the place, and it's got too many moments of boredom and some really pressing things in it to where I was like, this is not fun for anybody. So I don't know, if you have kids, they're not going to enjoy it. If you have teenagers, they're just going to sit on their phones anyway, so they're not going to enjoy it. And as an adult, you're not going to enjoy it, even if you are a Jack Black fan. So I will definitely recommend skipping Dear Santa. So I guess that is all we will have to ever say again about Dear Santa. So if you made it this far into the episode, I must have done something right. So again, if you could please follow the show, give me a review, that would be wonderful. Share it with your friends, share it on your social media. Please help me in any way, shape, or form. I would greatly appreciate it. And participate in the contest. Find the movie quotes. Let me know on my Instagram at Cinematic Traveler Pod. You can just DM me the answers and I will put you on the list. I am a bit excited and scared to see what movie is going to be recommended first for me to review. But yeah, definitely come back for my next episode. There's really nothing coming out this weekend. I will tell you on the other podcast I'm on, Just Go Watch. I think we're going to be reviewing Moana 2. We just did Wicked, so if you want to go check out that review, these are all spoiler reviews that we do on Just Go Watch, so be warned. But you can go listen to our opinions there. So probably we might get another streaming movie this weekend to review. I know there's a few more coming out, a couple on Netflix, I think, that might want to check out. So it will definitely be a surprise review this weekend for you and me. So you'll want to come back and check that out. So before I go, I just want to thank you once again for taking your time out of the day to listen to my podcast. I greatly appreciate you. As an audience member, I tell everyone I know I've got the smartest and sexiest audience in all the podcast universe. And while you're out there on this blue and green ball bouncing through the cosmos, I need you to do one thing for me. Go out there and do that voodoo that you do so well. Punch it!